Cool. So we did the Friday market breakdown yesterday. Going to go through the Saturday market breakdown today. Um, so essentially, we have the DXY. We saw the DXY as this potential 1, 2, 3, tapped into this inflection zone, push down. We've had the solid push down, broke below this. Now we're kind of just looking for downwards sort of momentum. Obviously, we know DXY is primarily a bullish instrument, but when we're in these bearish runs, they are pretty massive. We've got really nice structure here actually when we really get granular with it. So, for example, we tapped into this inflection zone and we actually came all the way back down to here, same as this. So we kind of tapped into this inflection zone now, and I'm looking for very similar price action. So if we can aggressively start to sell off, that's going to be very interesting um, well, for the DXY. So essentially, I'm just looking at it like this. Obviously, we can turn around. There's nowhere to say that we have to continue selling off. But looking at how it is now, it's moving with that aggressive momentum that I like. So if I just grab in this sort of bar replay tool and I tap it in there, getting something similar. I mean, it won't be exactly the same, of course, but if we do get that similar leg here, disregarding this little bit here, that could be very interesting because then that can actually lay out the foundation for the better sort of layout for USD pairs across the board. And then also on top of that, we may even get a really nice bull run to follow. So we have to really just be sharp with this one, but there's no way to determine that this is the low. We can continue to go lower. But yeah, the DXY selling off is something extremely interesting because it's one of those ones where it really commits. So we haven't tapped into this, nor do we need to, but we have the 1, 2, 3, which is more than enough now, and we've had the solid impulse, which has given us that confirmation. Drilling down to the daily, we can see that we've had this sort of corrective, sort of giving a bull flag sort of feel, but we didn't commit. It became more of a drop off, and now we create a correction here, and we continue selling off. It doesn't look like the typical pattern of a flat flag. It looks more so like we're getting these sort of angled running channel sort of flags. So I think this is more so something to be looking for than looking for your traditional flatter sort of flag. So I'm not going to be just looking for something like this. I'm going to be looking for sort of angled ones. And I feel like these may be the ones that really play out. Bearing in mind that obviously we can still get something flatter, it's not a problem. So right now we're kind of at this zone here. There's two ways I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this as potentially this being at the high of the 1, 2, 3. This becomes a head, left shoulder, and then if it becomes the head and shoulders, then we can then essentially see this as the better short. But at the moment, there's nothing really confirming it. It's unconfirmed left shoulder. That's why I put UC there. Um, it would basically have to come all the way back up here before we go down. Not impossible, but looking at how the momentum's going, it doesn't look like it's the most likely um, possibility at the moment. I think we could just continue to just drop off aggressively. So if we get that aggressive momentum, it does go align with a lot of the US pairs, gold, US, Euro USD forecasts. So I think, that's something to definitely bear in mind for the DXY that, we could be having some heavy sales coming in and we are very early in the run. So if we look at this bit of price, and if I just grab this bit of price and I take that little bit of price and then I bring it all the way back up here um, to when we had, just make it a little bit quicker. Oops. Over there, if you look at that in the grand scheme of things, right, that's from the highest point it was. Would you have said that as early in the run? You wouldn't even know. And then even if we were to take this and put it over here, would you even consider that as early in the run? So that's something that I've been kind of contemplating, and I think structure will form and we will get some very nice entries. Definitely have to be sharp with it, but I think, like I said before, don't get caught up with the lower time frames. The bigger time frame is king. So what we should be really aware of is Are we going to be pushing down, creating a small correction, and then selling off? Are we going to pull back a little bit more and then sell off? But we're definitely giving off good indications of a good sell off because of this strong impulse. We usually start with a strong impulse, form a corrective. It can be a few weeks to be honest, but corrective little squeeze, and then we just continue to rapidly sell off, which and then corrective and then rapid. So, early on in the run is probably the best place to be at the moment. So we're in the golden area, in my opinion. If we can make it down here, very impulsive, and then we start moving down to these lows, that's going to be even better. So that's why I've got real good eyes on DXY. I think DXY's got a lot of potential. The next one I've got is Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD's also quite nice. I think Aussie CAD's one that I filtered in, thinking that okay, cool. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We've correctively squeezed up, but we haven't really completed it. So contemplating if I should keep it on. I've got Aussie Swiss here as well. Aussie Swiss 1, 2, 3 completion. It's a little bit away though, unfortunately, and I think this is going to be more sort of a next week one. I don't think Australia has enough momentum in it to push up higher yet. We've got a near miss to it as well, which could form as somewhat near enough at this with this impulse, but I will look for price to gravitate back up. We have got some upcoming news as well coming for these particular pairs, and I think during next week we may see the momentum to push up, and then for the following week we may see the entry for the sell. So I think I'll keep it on for a week after. We'll have to wait and see. We'll honestly have to wait and see. This can definitely get here next week though, 100%. So you have to bear in mind that we could get some rapid movement, but at the moment I'm not really convinced that it's the sort of price action I want to be taking a risk entry on. So I'll be patient with that. Um, yeah, so Aussie New Zealand as well. Same like Aussie CAD. It's not quite ready yet. It's in very good areas, but it's just not quite ready. So Aussie CAD's got this really good sell-off. We're hitting some inflection points. However, the only difference for me is this can rapidly just keep going, just like the DXY, but more so, it doesn't really give you larger pullbacks. It's not very common in these runs. It's kind of more so like you get the push down, you get the squeeze, push down, squeeze, push down. So structurally, it's very, very nice to be in these sort of trends. And I think that's one of the reasons I possibly would opt in for this because I know that if we do get that squeeze, it'll be good, but the squeeze tends to take maybe 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. So, I think it's one there. I would have to probably wait for the correction to begin to even get involved. So yeah, 2 weeks. Let's say over here, roughly around about 2 weeks, and then over here, roughly around about just into 2 weeks as well. So, if that starts, it'll probably be ready by next week as well. I would have to wait and see, to be honest. I'm not going to just jump into a trade because it's impulsing. I'm going to definitely have to wait for structure. Aussie US dollar. Aussie US dollar is also one that I think needs a little bit of time to materialize. We could just kind of scoop up and tap into that flag push down, but I think I'm more interested in the long for this for some reason. I think the reasoning behind it is more so that obviously if we develop into this, we could see something larger. Not very common though. I think we could scoop up, tap into a significant point, and then sell off. At the moment, there's not enough data there for me to kind of just take a trade. So once this starts to sell off, I'll probably get involved. But I think by next week, I'll get a clearer picture for it. We may even be down here somewhere, but then by that point, I know that we're moving even further down. So there'll be enough room to manage and get involved. Aussie yen. Aussie yen is phenomenal as well. I think with a few of the yen pairs, Aussie yen amongst them is really nice. So last week I was looking at yen pairs especially, and I think they have a lot of potential. I think this one here as well was coming into this override near miss. I think the high value area is the target zone that I'll be looking at, but we have this sort of 1, 2, 3 sort of not really tapped into this zone yet, so we might just tap in, push up, flag, and then go up higher. More than likely, I believe we could just sell off and then probably just pull back up. Could continue to sell as well, which is also a possibility. So at the moment, there's a lot of money accumulating in this area here for impulse, correction, continuation, correction. Natural form of progression would be another impulse. So that is what I'm weary of. So I'm not going to be looking for shorts. I'll be looking for longs, but I need to time that right. So that's why Aussie pairs on a possible choice. CAD Swiss. I like CAD Swiss a lot, actually, to be honest. I think CAD Swiss is a nice pair. It's just never giving you entries, unfortunately. I mean, eventually it will play out and give you some really good opportunity, but it's one of those ones that doesn't really jump out to me. We had this, but it kind of just went from nowhere. I guess structurally we kind of tapped in there, pushed down, and wouldn't take that flag. Perhaps maybe in there was a trade, and so forth. Not really going to waste my time analyzing it at this point because right now we're correctively breaking through here. We did impulse to it with the rule of three, but then we correctively broke. So with that in mind, we can pull back still. So I've got two forecasts on. We either correct and continue correcting to the low, the high value area in my opinion, and then we push back up, create a flag and continue higher, or we pull back up out of this corrective squeeze, push up, create a flag, and then we continue higher. That's the two ways I'm looking at it. At the moment, CAD Swiss is a very corrective pair, so I don't see it as a longer term trading pair. I see it more as it's more of kind of a day trade, two, three, 4, 5, maybe a week, 2 weeks max. But you wouldn't be holding this one any longer than that, to be honest, because it tends to just go through these corrective swings quite a lot. And these are phases. When if you zoom out, you can see that we have an impulse, larger correction, forms into this sort of weirdly descending sort of correction into another correction where this could essentially just pull back now and go up higher. So there's a lot of money being accumulated in this zone, and I think at some point it's going to burst with a lot of momentum. I'm just hoping that momentum is to the upside because then there'll be a lot of opportunity for CAD pairs. But at the moment, there isn't really much to kind of take advantage of. So I'm not really that interested in this particular pair at this moment in time. I'm just going to wait for that push up and a flag. So I've left it for a week ahead. Pure reason for marking it as blue week ahead is because I would like it to materialize. I'd like it to form what I'm looking for, and then after I'll look for continuation once I've got some more confirmation in my favor for what I'm looking for. Kajen. Kajen is also really nice. I really do like the yen pairs at the moment. So we had this 1, 2, 3 tapped into this override. This was not the easiest to forecast, and it was only visible to myself once we had the point of sale, we had the middle tap, and then we had the third touch, and then we had the sell off and the push. So that's basically the point I kind of realized this is the trend line. And then we had this. Perhaps maybe if I was looking for something a little bit more parallel, I would have found it and took the point of sale, but it was more so kind of tapping in. So yeah, anyway. So going into the daily, we kind of had this squeeze over here, and we've broken it, which is nice. So I'll just take this tool over here, and we basically had this sort of price here. We were in here and then we pushed out, we created this beautiful flag, and then we started selling off. That flag over there was the perfect entry in my eyes, to be honest. There was more than enough in there for you to basically capitalize on this. Probably a lot of reason for hesitation as well, but we had that push, we had the sell, and now we're just looking for more continuation. We're in a very good impulsive leg at the moment. How impulsive this can be is completely up to the market, really. We are moving to this inflection point. I think we would want to break through it with some aggression. So if we create a small flag here, there may be enough aggression for this to move in the bigger play. Because remember, even though we're reaching this inflection point low, yes, there's more room to manage it. There's possible that this could form as a larger flag, but because in the grand scheme of things and we're in such a larger structure, if this is going to really play out and make it to this low, which is very possible, then I truly believe that we need some strong impulse at this point. So this is the sort of very not so clean middle section, but yeah. So I'd basically look at it and let that cut through that. Not really the traditional way, but yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think once we break through that line in the sand, essentially, we're going to be in for a massive run. So we could just impulse through this and then create a large flag. Could take about a week, 2 weeks, and then sell off again. So it is what it is. But I think it could be a phenomenal pair to get involved in these sort of areas here, just because I think by the time price starts to correct, it may even be down here. So if you actually look at the risk reward, which I think most people are very much interested in, is over here. Let's just say that you entered AFT, and so forth, and then let's say price made it all the way down there. Yeah, you could already be 43, 44% locked in, and then essentially be looking for you getting out of the market or management to protect yourself at that point, because honestly, there's so much to be thinking about when you're in these sort of areas and this sort of momentum. So, like I said, I'm not looking for something much larger like this. I think at this point, this would be more sufficient for the sell. So that's CAD yen. Cool, Swiss yen. Um, I think Swiss yen is also shaping to be quite nice, just like CAD yen. I think it just needs development. So it could be on forecast. It's more for development. So I'm not really going to worry about that. Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie is quite nice. We have a near miss to the low here. That's what I'm kind of having my eye on, to be honest. What's really happening right now? Are we kind of going 1, 2, 3, tap in, sell off? Is this creating something a little bit more complicated before we come back down? And then we have something like this. There's a few things that I'm kind of curious about, but when we're in these middle sections, I don't really want to just get involved in some simple small continuation. Something larger, yes, or more so just kind of going up. So it'd either be, running channel sort of vibes where we kind of just move up like that. That's a possibility, but more so I think I'm going to be just going to stay sharp on, I look at the value zone. This is why I'm interested. So we either push back down, fill in that override, tap in, or maybe go in for the 1, 2, 3 completion, 1, 2, 3, and then we kind of push up, or just see what happens. So that's one that I think needs more development. But by the time we're up here, I'll be more interested to see how we kind of continue or we reject. So keep that one simple. Let's say I mark that one as pink anyway, just to reevaluate later. Euro Aussie, Euro CAD. It's a strong bullish momentum. There's an inflection point here. Not too interested. More so interested in the higher time frame. That's more of the kind of override zone that I'm looking at. It's an inflection point, yes, off the overrides, but that's one point, and then the next point is just above it. So I'm not going to really entertain anything. That's bullish. You can look for bullish continuation to the upside, but I'm happy to stay out of that. Euro CHF, Euro Swiss franc is corrective as normal. I mean, this can just continue correcting for a week, 2 weeks till it gets there. I'd be more interested to see how this develops. Do we get a push down, push back up, a flag, create this sort of flag over here before we go higher, creating this nice little middle section completion, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is not really the traditional sort of flag that I'll look for, nor is it an ascending. It's more so of a running channel, and I'm looking for it to go to the upside. So if I was to take Euro Swiss, it would be for the long. However, I need to strategically play that, and we have these two low points, but then it's one of those ones where I've really got to read between the lines, and it's not the sort of structure I want to get involved in. So for that particular reason, I don't think I'll keep that one on watch. It would have to develop, so I'll give it some time. It needs a bit more time. This one is also quite interesting. So it's Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss is definitely looking like it's going to continue with that short move. I'm seeing this as a descending channel for maybe one final leg push down, or we even get an impulsive sort of leg. So this middle section, for enough momentum to push up higher, we've got the override there, but we've got the 1, 2, 3 completion with the trend line. Doesn't hold the most significant highest weight, but it's a possibility. So I'm looking for that completion of that potential pattern. But the pattern could be drawn a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, the context is there. So we've got the 1, 2, 3, we've got the override inflection point over here. See what happens. Do we tap into that? Do we sell off? That's where I'm interested. And then if we do come into this major big sell run, there will be so much opportunity down here, but this would be some area where I'd like to be priced into. So that's it. And then obviously we might just tap in over here, double bottom, push back up, and start pushing up higher again. So a few variations there on Euro GBP, but I think Euro GBP definitely has big potential. So I'll keep that on pink for now. The next one I've got is Euro New Zealand dollar. Not fully developed for me yet. Nice little corrective pull down. Are we going to see this tap into here, maybe create an expanding, come back up? There's a few variations, but I'm looking at this override zone here. Do we just shoot back up, tap into that, push down, create a flag and go? maybe. We are in a solid downtrend, so and we're moving towards, sort of inflection points. This is a big zone here, but I think before we get there, we might get weeks of correction, maybe 2, 3 weeks of correction. So, but I do like the momentum that we have, especially on New Zealand related pairs. So, we'll have to wait and see that one. Euro USD, bang, solid pair. Honestly, such a solid pair. We've had that break off that trend line. We've had the push up. We've had this continuation now. It's not the cleanest because it does still look like this is still got development in it for it to just kind of have that corrective squeeze structural sort of feel to it. But it might just impulse up now, tap into that inflection zone, push back down, create a flag, or just continue going. That would be in line with the DXY sell-off, which would be in line with a lot of US related pairs. So, I'm definitely interested to see now, are we just going to impulse and keep going? Because I think there's enough momentum in the market right now for this to just give us that bullish push that we need. So that's something of a very major good interest. So definitely have to stay sharp with that, stay patient. But one of the reasons I got it on pink. Euro, Japanese yen, solid push up, flag. Just want to see our 1, 2, 3 now. Just want to see it push up, push back down, tap into this 1, 2, 3, and then go. The reason the 15-minute kind of hooks that point there, and then yeah, could that be a low point? Just kind of have to wait to evaluate. This can just continue selling off anyway. So at the moment, I'm not too fixated on it, but this could shape up really nice Monday, Tuesday. So I have to wait and see. Honestly, I have to wait and see. So I might keep it on the sideline just for the potential, but it might get filled out if there's something else better on the table. GA. GA as well needs some development. I'm looking for this solid push up. We have it's actually structural, even though it's very corrective, which is still nice. It's a corrective structured pattern. We have a 1, 2, 3. The last leg is impulsive, which is completely fine because we have a structured middle section, structured first section. That middle step push there is enough for me to get that push up, push back down, flag, and I'm in. So GA definitely is a hot pair. Looking at it on higher time frames though, we are potentially approaching this triple top, but we could potentially just push up further and keep going. So definitely have to stay a bit neutral with this one, but it's looking good. GBP CAD, similar situation, but this is just an inflection point. Honestly, that's significant. That's not even a significant line to the point where I would say it holds major weight, but I would say that it may be enough to at least bank 10, 15, 20% on that. So just have to wait and see it through. With the momentum we have on the weekly, I wouldn't be interested in a short. I'll be very honest with you, but I'd be interested to just understand how price is going to react with these sort of minor inflection points. I mean, we've pushed through quite many times when we've had them, so we've tapped into it, and then that's it really. So tapped in it, make a correction, and it seems like that's what's happening now. So we tapped in, making that correction, and we're just going to continue. So I think this is just going to be that's the correction for the continuation, and now we're going to see that continuation. I definitely think that this isn't an area to be looking for shorts. This is more so an area to be very strategic and smart and look for a long. And I think this could be a phenomenal trade. Weirdly enough, I wouldn't usually want to take a trade like this, but looking at the back of this, honestly, set pending order up here. Yeah, say it's around about, keep it a bit tight, why not? 35 pips. But then if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, right, and we pull that up here, you can be holding this. And I'm not saying that it's going to be one that you're going to make crazy percentage off in a short amount of time. It's definitely a long burner, but by the time this really starts to slow down, we could even be in around about 10% profit, and this can just shoot up. I mean, I call it about just December, but by the end of the year, we might even be all the way up here. We might have a phenomenal end of the year with so much momentum in GBP pairs that we just kind of push up here, and then we start January, no surprise that we start selling off. I've seen it happen before, honestly. Look at this, 2020, right? I think, was that post-COVID? I don't even know when COVID was anymore. COVID-19, so 2019. So let's just disregard this. Let's go back to 2018, right? We move into January. We came strong bullish, and then let's go to previous. So let's go January. Here, strong bullish momentum as well. Not saying that it has to be bullish. It just means that a lot of momentum comes in the market. It's 2016 January. Strong bear trend just began. It's just it's just so interesting how when the year begins, it's like a whole new year for a lot of these pairs. So that's what I mean. If we look at the build up to that as well, obviously over here we can see that December was already in its value zone, but the build up was probably during the main part of the year. Let's go down here. So 2017 December, yeah, we just kind of just started declining quickly as well to reach that target zone, and then beginning of the year we kind of got there. Then February we kind of moved in. Like I said, it's just a piece of data, nothing of major significance. It doesn't mean that January is going to be the turning point. It just means that, it's just something to be aware of. I like it. It's looking good. I mean, that's not your traditional entry, but honestly, in terms of, just kind of getting involved, it's not a bad entry in my opinion. If you kind of get a little bit inside it as well, got that corrected middle section, got a 1, 2 bottoms, 2 tops. It's more than enough to set an entry now and just say GBP CAD, I'm in there. And then looking at the larger perspective of things, even though we've tapped into this inflection point, we've moved so aggressively at this point here, and we've actually had corrections, impulse, correction, impulse. So natural form of progression is either we continue with our impulsive leg, which we're currently in the phase of impulse, or we go into a corrective phase. The corrective phase in no means has to be here. If we break through this, then we know that we're still continuing in that bullish run, and then we can create correction, go, and that might be more than enough room to manage and protect myself. So just bear that in mind. The next one I'm going to be looking at is GBP Swiss. GBP Swiss is also very, very nice. I do like the fact that we have that 1, 2, 3 squeeze, push up, push down on the flag sort of feel, but it's corrective, it's a squeeze. So it's not my traditional type of entry. I would look for that solid push down on the flag, probably more so than a push just in. But yeah, right now GBP pairs are looking bullish. I mean, I have been prolonged since we kind of had this sort of push up here, but it is what it is. Honestly, just got to wait it out. This could just continue trickling and squeezing, so I'm not going to get fixated. I probably wouldn't really want to filter this one on. I probably will end up filtering it out, but it's there. I mean, it's in a significant area. GBP New Zealand as well. I think GBP New Zealand has basically created its middle section for that push down. So we've had the impulse correction, and now we're looking for that continuation to the low. It's just a very corrective pattern here. There's more than enough squeeze in there for us to have that momentum, and I think right now what we're having is we're having that push down. We haven't tapped into this point here, which I don't think we need to because we've had so many little tap-ins over here. So we've had this like scoop over here, fill, push down, and now we're just creating this. Now, what I'm interested to see is, do we create structure before we finally sell off? Do we kind of go in here? And if we do go in there, we don't push down and flag, we might even just push all the way back up here and then get the better entry. So that is one that I'm very interested to know how it plays out. And I think it's one that I think I would opt in to just have, weirdly enough. It's not the cleanest of structures, not the best of structures, but the momentum is kind of built now. We've been in this corrective squeeze for such a long time. If this sells, this is going to be, it could even come down here, it could even go further. So very interested to see how this develops. That would pretty much be my target zone sort of area that I'd be looking at really and truly. So do we fill that wick? That's the real question. Are we going to fill this bullish wick? Possibly, very much possible. And if we look at a risk reward to this, right, because obviously we don't want to disregard what we're getting involved for, but let's say that we take this on a risk entry 10 pip, and we do take this to the low. This is the most optimistic position, obviously. Of course, we're looking at roughly around about 108%, which is pretty good. And then we have also the 30% position on the reduced risk, which is also pretty good. Bearing in mind this will be rapid. Look at that. In a matter of, let's actually just have a look at this bit of price here, right? And if we see from this high to, let's just say, this impulsive bit here, right? If we get something like that, where it does come up back up there and then sells off, which is even better, right? We get AFT in there, let's say, forget the risk reward, actually, that's not really important. Let's just quickly have a little look at how long that took. So yeah, about a month. Honestly, a month of just pure selling. How insane is that? just analyze that little piece of price, and look at that. Like honestly, like for somebody who doesn't really know how they would have taken advantage of this, I'll show you, right? There's opportunity here. There's opportunity here. There's opportunity, and this is without even looking at the wicks. This is, and when I do flip this on, you're going to see the wicks coming in there, right? Um, there was opportunity here, and then I'll just pull this up, and there'll probably be a bit more that I could flick at, but so you can see over here, we had that scoop back up here. That's your sell. Boom. Okay, we're in for one trade, two trades. Okay, there's a trade over here. So right there, one trade, two trade. Not so much there, but here, three trade. Probably wouldn't have taken it there. Probably would have got in here. So we'll say that's one, two, three. Then not the easiest to kind of cut through here. So I'd say that you had this section here, you had that push down, probably the flag here, and then you would have been tap break even, maybe taking a small profit. So yeah, there was a trade here. There was definitely a trade here. With that scoop, I don't know if that was the one. I probably would have missed this trade, knowing myself, to be honest. There was a trade here. There's a trade here, and there was a trade here. Okay, there's literally a massive abundance of trades in here. Oh yeah, and even better, there's another. Actually, to be honest, let's not take that one. So let's count that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 opportunities to get in on this position, and let's say in total from the top to bottom, yeah, you're looking at roughly 11,707. No, so 177, let's say. And then let's just say risk reward wise, we're not talking small pips. We're going to call it 15 pip per trade, right? And it's funny because before I'd be like, how would you know that the trade is going to sell off there? Well, if you don't see it now, you will see it one day. So I urge you come back to this video. 74% there. Probably another. Bear in mind the run's not over. Right. This is professional level management trading. Okay. Now, the reason why all these trades would still be running is because you would have managed them really well, right? Because if we would have been given so much opportunity, you can see that we don't pull up much at all to fill, only this time here. And then this trade here would have been a small profit, or break even, but we'll call it a small profit of around about there for 1%, 2%. The rest of them, now let's actually just have a look at this. You would have had from the first one, 74%, second one, 69%, so you're over 100% already. Then you'd have another 65, you'd have another 52, so you'd be about 200% profit. Then you'd have another 47, another 36, so roughly over 300% you would have made over the course of just taking this one particular pair. And then this would have been between February to March. You probably would have made you more than what you make in a year had you just focused on one pair. So something that I'm just kind of learning now is that one is more than enough. You don't need to go off and trade 100 different things, but once one thing is committed and really started playing, you can take full advantage. Just wanted to share that because I think that is a phenomenal demonstration there in itself. But yeah, if you saw that, definitely drop me a message, because if you want to know how if you didn't really understand that, I can explain that in more depth because these are the sort of trades that I take. And this is what I'm literally fully focusing on now, is basically getting involved in things like this. Now, you don't always get runs as steep and as strong as this, especially with that final bit there, because that is a case of, a 30% difference really. But honestly, you see that that's pure opportunity in itself. You get involved in one of these trades, it doesn't really pull back at all. Doesn't pull back at all. If I just mark them on here, at what point do you see price pull back and then take out all of those positions? That is solid. And remember, I'm on the 4 hour, right? Obviously, if I go down to the 1 hour, you can get a little bit more granular. You would have seen more opportunities. 4 hours more than enough. Paints the picture more than perfect for you. Some of these you may have probably tweaked them a little bit, just ever so much, but like I said, actually, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from this, but that's GBP New Zealand. GBP USD, I'm going to come back and look at that and be like, what have I done? Just mess my chart up. Yeah, so right shoulder, left shoulder forecast was there, but it's not looking too great at the moment. We had that sort of messy sort of pullback down. It's kind of giving me that Euro USD vibe, I'm getting that full on Euro USD vibe with this. We basically are kind of just steeply pushing up, so I'm not looking for any. I don't think I'm going to be looking at GBP USD just yet. I think I'm going to be looking for that solid commitment down before anything like that. But we have kind of approached with a structured sort of 1, 2, 3. So maybe I'll reanalyze that in a different form of light. GBP yen, actually, I'm not going to keep that on. I did look at it. Honestly, it's not for me. I think it's just a bit too messy, way too messy. I know a lot of people are capitalizing really good on it. It's just not a pair that will stick with me, and I'll be quite excited or pumped to get involved in. So I'm going to leave that one out. When I say excited, I don't mean like thrilled. I mean more like oh, okay. I'm really really willing to be extra patient for this one because structurally, fundamentally everything is just in line with what I'm looking for. So, sometimes it's just, yeah, even if the trade's got everything, it's just not worth having it on just because of what you might perceive, because then you can just convince yourself to get out of a great position just because you're not happy with what it looks like. And I guess that's also something psychological in itself. Many times I've looked at something like this and I thought, oh, okay, it could sell off from here, and then it kind of did sell off, but then it goes, which is fine. You may bank a little bit of profit. Same situation over here, little selling opportunity over here, big selling opportunity where we tapped into that near miss though. So gravitating back to that is definitely an interest, but are we going to make it to this low before we do it? So for me, my main interest is actually two areas. It's over here, which is I would say this is more so the high value area now for myself. And then I've got the override at the top, which I think we're going to fill. So, you know, that's it basically. So I'm just looking at that particular zone, and then I've got the high value area up there, and then I've got that bit down there. But more so, I'm interested in these points. So will we just correct, tap into that push down, push up, and go up here? And then if we do get that impulsively as well, be a very nice run, very financially rewarding, and then we can fill that. But that's not the most obvious gap, but it didn't quite tap into that at all. And we didn't even get a mini double top or anything. We just had this, and then within there we had we had a triple top, and then very low middle, low time frame, which isn't something that I really would have looked at. So yeah, I was looking more so as tapping into that. So we didn't do that. I'll leave it. Next one is New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD's quite nice. I do like that we're just moving aggressively, but I don't think I'm going to be entertaining any of the New Zealand pairs at the moment until something is really shaped up. I'm looking for larger structure, really, to be fair. At the moment, it's just so aggressively pushing up. There's definitely a lot of money to be made in these aggressive pushes, but at the moment, I'm not going to just kind of jump into those because I think it's just more so FOMO, New Zealand pairs are awesome for sell-offs as well. So I just want to wait for that sell-off to kind of just get to that point, and then when we do start to sell, that's when I'll start to really having New Zealand pairs on board again. But it's a shame that I missed out on this sort of bull run because I would have wanted to get ideally involved down here. But if you look in the grand scheme of things, what if we are so early in this massive run? Um, there'll be more than enough time to get involved. But like I said, we haven't really tapped into this low here. We haven't tapped into anything major. We just kind of pushed up aggressively. Are we pushing up aggressively to push down correctively to push? There's many different variations, but I want to get in on some sell opportunity. So I'll keep that one off the board for now. And yeah, and then New Zealand yen is there as well, which as well similar situation. I wanted to tap into that 123. Possible that we could do it soon, where we just have some aggressive push, but I'll wait for that to happen, then push down aggressively. And I think by that time we'll probably be a week ahead. So I'll put that on blue, perhaps, maybe, because I think by next week, maybe we might be, not next week, the week after, might be ready. USD CAD. This one I really like. I'm going to keep this one green, keep it on my watch. I think this sort of flag here now could be ready to just sell off. Perhaps maybe we might have one little push up before we just go down, and then we just sell off. We tap into this unconfirmed bottom, but then we create this sort of 1, 2, 3, create that middle section, so it might even get corrective. And then we push up, and then maybe we might even go further. Or if we do continue to sell in line with the DXY and a few other of the US pairs, we just continue to push through, which wouldn't be something that I would really say is impossible. We also have this. Forget the flag comment on it, but we basically tapped in there and then we fully retraced and pushed down and creating a flag now. So if you look at it like that, this is more than enough for this to sell. So it's definitely a very good, valuable area to be getting involved in the market. I think for a lot of people that are thinking they're looking for perfection or whatever, I think even entering a position in here now is okay. It's not great. I think over here, yeah, I mean, it depends what you're looking for. I mean, you could, yeah, it's not something that you'd have to evaluate yourself, really. Wait for that good entry. I mean, it was, if you take away this, and you put it on like that, so, then it's a complete different position for you. You see what I mean? Like, at that point there, where would you have entered the position? You have to ask yourself. And personally, I would have entered the position here, which I did, but the position would have been entered here, and then I would have stop cropped because of the NFP non-farming payrolls slash US employment rates slash Canadian employment rates all coming out at the same time, causing this insane volatility. So normal, right? 1, 2, 3, completion of the pattern, pulled back in, and then at that retrace, the entry was set. It was a large entry, to be honest, if I really look at it. Yeah, so it's roughly around about 50 odd pips. Have I got it on object tree? No, I haven't. 50 odd pips. And then yeah, that's it. So that's basically. And now we're just correcting. I think I'm back on sort of just under a little bit of profit, but yeah. So that's the position. I mean, right now this correction doesn't really change the bigger picture. The bigger picture is here, and we've had a solid push down. We're creating corrective flag, a little bit steeper than we want, but push down, and that's it. So keep it as simple as that. And I think in the grand scheme of things, this position has about 3% to the unconfirmed bottom, which also taps into that override. So holds a bit more probability than 5% to the low. And then, we break through and we're going into heart attack mode. So it's really interesting. We're going to USD Swiss. USD Swiss is also quite nice. We're tapping into that override zone, which is one of the reasons I left it as pink. We came in from a major impulse, and then as we approached, we just got correctively sat on it. So a flag on the low isn't something I look for, but this doesn't have to be the lows. Nowhere to confirm that that's a low. We can just continue impulse correction, and then that's enough momentum to get to this low here. Yeah, it's not the best of pairs, but I think with US dollar pairs selling off, this could be more than enough. So something to look at. USD yen, phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Honestly, absolutely phenomenal. It's a mistrade for me, unfortunately, from this point here. Completely awesome though, right? How I saw it, I forecasted it, I demonstrated it in a video. Very, very proud of myself. I think it was actually here. That was the trade there, or somewhere. It was up here somewhere. Really nice trade. And then yeah, it's committed. So when I looked back on it in hindsight, it was somewhere in the region of like 70% or something. I was like, wow, who actually knew that planning, precision, and all of these factors of what makes you a better trader can actually get you to those percentages. So really, really cool. Really happy about that. I'm really happy that I'm able to analyze the markets in the way I'm analyzing it now. And I think if anybody's listening to this, I do hope you get the same success because everything is possible in this market. So yeah, we've broken through, we pushed down, we broke through here now, and we're pushing down, and it just seems like we're just continuing in this sort of phase. I think this is going to be a strong impulse, create something the same, and then we go. And it's just going to be continuing like that for some time. These patterns repeat, and then I think after we have the third pattern, we'll probably just get a little bit more aggressive and then create something a little bit different. But head and shoulders potentially there as well. Really like it, honestly. UJ, phenomenal, phenomenal. I really want to keep it on watch, but I just don't have a reason to at the moment. There's nothing to kind of entice me to want to stay in this. It's selling off though, which is nice, and we're very early in the run, which is also very nice. Um, there's structure in here as well. If I just draw this on for you, which is here. Not the easiest to understand. Some people would have said, you know, maybe take it in like that and then have it like that. But yeah, I'm kind of happy to say that this was a little bit more in my sort of idea. And then we had the inflection point up here, which we tapped into and then pushed lower. So now that we're broken below and we're moving lower, that's something that I'm more than interested to see what happens. So just like the DXY, we've tapped into this. We broke above on the US yen, but we tapped into this override over here. We pushed down, and now we're looking for something a little bit more enticing. Unfortunately, we didn't get that 1, 2, 3 that I was looking for. My friend did catch the trade here as well, which great for you. I think that forecast there was not bad at all. I mean, I was looking for price to come back up to this area before we sell. But I think this was more than enough as well. So that's that. And then USD ZAR, it's not really on my radar. We had this sort of inflection point. Let's take off this and this because it's not the most relevant. We had the override double top bottom smash up, smashed into the inflection zone, pulled back down aggressively, pushed down on the 1 hour. You can see that we created a push down on the flag. We sold off, same as the impulse, but we didn't commit. We have tapped into this inflection zone and pulled back up aggressively, and now we're creating a flag. This could be the I don't know. I would like to name this sort of pattern because I've seen it a very few times, but it happens. Call it the 69, and yeah. So essentially, what's happened is we've tapped in there. We've had the push down, the flag, the push down, and then we tapped into the inflection, and we had a push back up, a flag, and a push back up. So it's kind of just like a complete sort of reversal sort of situation, kind of like a inverse head and shoulders right now, but super interesting how that's kind of there now, and then that forms as it's just it is what it is. So that's kind of it for what I've got. I don't think I'm going to entertain. I want GY though for some reason. There's something gravitating towards me saying there's going to be something happening on it, but I can't make out anything at this point in time. So I'm going to go through my 16 pairs that I filtered down. I've got one green list, which I'm definitely going to have on my watch list. I've got what else have I got here? I've got 16 pairs here, so I'm gonna go take a break. Gonna go to the bank. I'm gonna go do some stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Go to the gym, do some food shopping, do some cleaning, come back, fresh mindset, look at these 16 pairs, narrow them down, and then I'm not gonna do my Sunday market breakdown today. I'm going to come in with fresh eyes tomorrow, annotations, everything, clear mindset, and then smash the SMB. And then when I smash that SMB tomorrow, well, you'll see it. So yeah, so that's basically it. Have a good weekend, and we'll